ever tried what they call VR, virtual reality? Have you ever tried that technology? Okay.
Nope.
No. I tried it, and it's not really for me because it just makes me dizzy. It is, on the other hand, startling as to what it does for your senses. I'm curious, an historian like yourself, working with somebody who is in the virtual reality space. I don't know if they do smells very well yet, but I'm sure they're working on it. I need this sound. I need this texture. I need all of this. How accurately can you recreate a 14th century day at the market in, say, Suffolk?
I'd have no difficulty with the accuracy side of things, and I
Right.
would wholly engage in what I could. What I think would be impossible, you have to think of the recipient. You have to think of the passenger, as it were,
Right.
the person who's perceiving this.
Right.
What I would find impossible is to make them feel they understand what's going on around them. Because if it were authentic as well as accurate,
Right.
the authenticity of the characters interplaying around them would leave them confused and appalled. They wouldn't understand the cruelty. They wouldn't understand
Right.
the deep religious thread, which
Right.
would go without saying. People wouldn't be talking necessarily about what they believe, but there was a religious aspect to life, a context, the hierarchies of society, so many levels of unspoken material factors would be
Right.
very difficult to bring across. And people would think, well, that person's just being obnoxious or cruel or horrible.
Right.
But actually, they might be enacting the stereotypes of the time.
Right.
And to be authentic, you'd have to take that person from that time
Right.
to understand it. So you could do the accuracy bit. You could make the scenes. You could have the right dyes and therefore the right colors. You could have the right textures and the right material. You could have the right layouts. You could do the right smells, I think.
Right.
You could generate the right smells. But what you couldn't do is have the understanding of what's going on around you. We live in so much in our own times. It's very difficult to appreciate what it would be. There's an article I wrote somewhere, it's a speech somewhere published that's about this, that accuracy is difficult enough. Authenticity is impossible.
I have a feeling that a person is probably capable of reading a deeply unpleasant scene and processing it and absorbing it and living with it much more easily than witnessing it.
There's a really good example of this. I mean, one of the most common or most popular pastimes in Elizabethan England was to go to the bear baiting on the south side of the river, on the south side of the Thames. And these are alongside the Globe Theatre, where Shakespeare was.
Yeah.
Queen Elizabeth I went to the bear baiting. She never went to see Shakespeare, but she'd go to see the bear baiting. It was everybody in London did. It was much more popular than the theatre. Now, at the end of a bear baiting thing, so after you've had this poor creature set upon by dogs,
Right.
and throwing the dogs off, and people breaking the fall of the dogs with sticks, 2 sticks, to allow the dog to land safely and then go back into the fight. And the bear is covered with the blood, and the bear is not normally allowed to die because they're too valuable. But after that whole thing, and you've had the bear baiting, bull baiting, the final act of the performance is you take a monkey, you tie it to the back of an old horse you don't care about any longer. And the English in those days were famously cruel to their horses. And then you let all the dogs go. You let all the dogs on this old horse. And people were absolutely delighted by the monkey's terror as the horse to which it is strapped is killed underneath it. And this was just whoops of joy, excitement.
Right.
Around. Now, if you showed that and you saw your character enjoying that, if you're a novelist, if you had your character loving it, then you think you've immediately alienated your entire modern audience. So, and you can't do it. I mean, that level of authenticity, just that attitude. You can reproduce a scene, but you cannot reproduce what they feel.